have moving forward, okay? So with that being said, go ahead, get logged in, and what you'll see is our first question. This will always be the first question, which is to select present. It just marks you as present for a quorum. If you are not a member of the body, I ask that you do not press that button, which is to say, if you've been elected, do it. But it is for our quorum purposes. Thank you. Hey, let's go. That makes my life 1,000 times easier. All right. So we have a lot of things to do, but one of my favorite things to do, I might have to put the microphone on this because I haven't gotten to do this before. So, hello everyone. Today is Friday, September 19th. It is currently 3:36 p.m. and I am so excited to say that this meeting with the Graduate Student Government is hereby called to order. Get ready for the gavel. Wasn't that fun? I had fun if you didn't. So, we got a few things to get through today. You received a copy of the Assembly agenda. That has not changed substantially. If there are any changes, I will let you know. Right now, our first order of business is going to be the swearing in of the 45th General Assembly. You are a part of that General Assembly. This is a special order swearing in all of the recently elected program representatives to the Graduate Student Government. If you have already been sworn in, you do not need to be sworn in again. The swearing in of the GSU program representatives is overseen by the current president of the Assembly. This is Keith Clemens Hauser. Mr. President, you now have the floor for the purposes of swearing in.
I'm assuming you have that here. Thank you so much, because otherwise I'm going to read from my phone, and that'd be really awkward.
It's also on the side.
Technology, the power of technology. All right, hi everyone. As mentioned, I'm Keegan, I'm the president. I'll have a more formal introduction in a bit, but before we get to that, as mentioned, if you are new here, if you're online, we'll just assume you're raising your hand. If you want to turn on your camera and do it, that'd be great. But if you don't want to or can't, that's fine. If you are a newly elected representative, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. In the presence of honored guests and members here assembled, I do solemnly promise and pledge that I will faithfully execute the duties of the Assembly as a program representative of the Graduate Student Government. To commit myself to the Student Government's Code of Ethics. To further the objectives of the Student Government. To serve on the Graduate Student Committee through engagement with my constituents and vote according to the preferences of my constituent body.
To serve my graduate student community through engagement with my constituents and voting according to the preferences.
Body.
Thank you for the compliment. By the authority vested in me by the Graduate Student Government, I now proclaim you duly installed as program representatives and voting members of the Graduate Student Government Assembly.
Welcome in. We are glad to have you. We continue to move forward on our agenda with an executive address from, yes, the president that you just heard from. Yes, he gets an address. You will hear from him more. Hello, hi. The president does this in service to the Assembly. Keegan.
It's been a minute. Hello again. As I said before, I am King Clemens Hauser. I am the president of the Graduate Student Government for 2025-2026. And it is lovely to see you all. I am not one for grandstanding, so I will try to keep this relatively brief. But first of all, welcome. This is actually the largest assembly we've had in at least since the pandemic. I'm not sure how long before the pandemic. I'm pretty certain. I think we're up to 57 people right now. 56, something like that. Mid-50s at any rate. And it is absolutely a pleasure. I wanted to really drive home, thank you for being here, especially so many of you on such short notice. We have struggled in the past to get people involved and engaged, especially since the pandemic. And it is very heartening to me personally to see that trend reversing. We really genuinely do appreciate it. And when I say we couldn't do it without you, I'm not making that up or just saying that to make it sound nice. We really cannot function as a representative body without representatives, as it turns out. So, thank you again for joining us, especially considering that I know that we are in, we'll say, troubled times, right? In the last 5 years, we've been through a pandemic, and now returning to normal, sort of, and then recent events with a turbulent federal landscape. And I know a lot of people are worried about funding, continued funding, access to visas, and all sorts of other very pressing issues. And that's why you're here, I hope, is to address those issues with me and the rest of the executive board, because again, we're all in this together. In fact, when I was running for president, my campaign slogan, which I didn't originally have, but I was forced by my lovely executive board here to add one, and I'm glad I did, is all together or not at all. And that's actually an old union saying that the meaning should be simple enough, but it's missed by a lot of people. It's not just representatives in this room, it's every graduate student. It's not just every graduate student, it's everyone on this campus. We are all truly in this together. And we either do this together or we don't do it at all. What that means in practice is that we're going to have a lot of, I hope, productive and helpful pieces of legislation and discussions and town halls and all sorts of other things to engage with our constituents, with the 10,500 grad students that we represent. And it also means that there are going to be some really challenging topics that we're going to have to address. And I appreciate the courage and bravery of people being willing to serve on this body and take on those topics, especially right now. I'm not going to go into that in more detail than is necessary. I think you'll all understand where I'm coming from. Again, thank you. This is the most important time you could be here. I'm glad you are.
Thank you so much, Keegan. Come on, little class. Hey, big class, let's go. Period. All right. With that said, there is one more order of business that we have in our special order. If you were looking at the swearing-in screen, I promise I'll change that, you know, when the time comes for the report of the chair, which is what we're getting to. One of the items that we have to deal with, and our final item in the special report, is the information transmitted by the election committee regarding this year's referendum results. We'll get that update in the information, which brought a not insignificant amount of you here, from the elections committee chair, who is consequentially also the vice president of financial affairs and student fee matters, long title, Sydney Overton.
All right, so the referendum on the constitutional amendments proposed by the 2024 to 2025 GSG Constitution and Bylaws Review Committee did meet the minimum threshold of 1/20th of the currently enrolled graduate student body participating in the vote. Therefore, by Article 8.2.c of the standing GSG Constitution, that means that the results of this referendum are approved under the same conditions outlined in Article 8.1, and therefore the amendment shall be approved. The vote breakdown for the referendum was 78% yes to all amendments and 2 yes to some, and then 20% abstain. I will say now, all UMD programs are now entitled to no less than 2 members, no more than 3, just depending on the program size, and we have formally shifted to a 3-branch system of governance.
Y'all don't know how much work went into that. Yes, I was about to say, there will be a bunch of context here. I want to actually give the floor to Keegan to kind of walk us through just how much work that was. So taking a little bit of time, a report of the chair here, I want to give it to Keegan to kind of walk y'all through what that literal, what this one page means, how much work went into it.
Hi, yeah, so I'm actually going to put on a previously worn hat. So last year, when I was in Lizzie's position as the Director of Operations, I was one of the 2 chairs of a special committee that forms once every 5 years called the Constitution and Bylaws Review Committee. And basically what that means, and Sydney was also there and part of it, thank you, Sydney. I've dragged you along for the ride, and you've been mostly not complaining about, which I appreciate. So what that means is that every 5 years we make sure that our constitution and bylaws are actually working the way they're supposed to and align with how we're actually doing things, because things drift after about 5 years. It's actually kind of a unique requirement. I haven't served on many other organizations that have that requirement, but I think it's a good one. But we spent a year on this. And so this is the culmination of a year-long project of 7 people, I think was how many people at the end. So yeah, that's just the context. This isn't just, by the way, we changed the entire constitution out of nowhere. It was a culmination of a 1-year project. And I'm happy to answer any questions about it or provide any more information as requested. We also will have a second component to it that Ivy will be introducing shortly, and that is we are now moving on to bylaws revisions now that the Constitution has been passed. So more on that later.
Thank you, Keegan. With that said, kind of 5 core components that's part of the report of the chair. I want to draw your attention to the agenda for this part. If you have access to the agenda, you will notice that I am a ridiculous hyperlink person and that my rules committee of awesome people are also ridiculous hyperlink people. So forgive me if anything seems like a lot of clicking. I just want to make sure you have everything that you need with enough time before the assembly. So this is my item where I get to say, welcome to GSG, y'all. I'm so excited to have you. I'm so excited to have your AI going off every once in a while, as mine does. And if you hear Siri, it was me. But we've got a few items to get through here. First, I want to let you know that the rules for legislation in the General Order of the Graduate Student Government this year are not super stringent. I seem stringent, but I also seem very chaotic. And so you will get used to this like order mixed chaos. I very much enjoy it. My purpose in saying that is because as part of the regular duties of the Rules Committee, which I chair, we convene and oversee the forming, the creation of legislation and the agenda that you see in front of you. This includes all of our formed and passed legislation, things that come through committees and the body as a whole. So if you have questions about the rules, if you have questions about when I say like, hey, we can't do something, I encourage you to reach out to me. The emails that you have seen flowing through your inbox are not unusable emails. They are very well handled, and when I say that, I mean it. The GSG VPLA email, it's got a dash in between it, GSG-VPLA. You'll see it in the materials as well. You can reach out to me at any time for parliamentary information, help putting together your legislation. The executive board is ridiculously open to helping out. So if you need something, let us know. Additionally, I want to make sure that I make space for letting you know what these 3 items are. First of all, you all got access to a calendar. This calendar is subject to change, but it will have every assembly meeting that we do. I will never attempt to spring something on you, neither will the e-board unless it's absolutely necessary. If you see something that's like, hey, we need to have an emergency meeting, that is something that'll come down from Keegan as the president, myself, the DOO. Somebody will communicate on behalf of Keegan, if not Keegan himself. So if we end up having a meeting outside of this structure, know that it is because it's an emergency or it's because it's something that's urgent. Otherwise, this calendar is your best friend. It will not shift, and when it does shift, I am like constitutionally obligated to let you know and make a bunch of people vote on it. I don't like voting on things in the middle of the night. Sorry to the Rules Committee that for these things in the middle of the night. So, with that said, you'll want to keep track of this particular item. There's an item in here that you won't want to keep track of that I'm going to let you know about now, which is this long rules document. Essentially, sorry, Max, you know how it is. Sometimes you press command by accident and it just tabs over. The rules of the 45th General Assembly are just the rules of the Rules Committee, but in GSG, we all use the same rules until we say we're not gonna. So as you do work, just remember that I will do some slightly pedantic things like asking you to say your name in your program, right? Asking you to communicate a specific way. It is not my intention to make things too hard on you. In fact, your third resource is all of the ways that you can make motions in GSG. Every single motion opportunity and the way that you can make a motion is here. We operate out of Robert's Rules of Order, this book, which is, has to be like a 10th or 11th, right? 11th edition. You are, sorry, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I definitely have worked for a senator who is a Democratic whip. I very much enjoy Robert's Rules of Order and the Jefferson Rules, so I'm aware of it. I'm not gonna make you sit through it. I hope that you'll take advantage of, hey, I would like to change what this bill is. You can make a motion to amend if this is exactly how you say it. I move to amend whatever this is so that it reads as follows, and then you tell me what you want it to say. Simple, easy. If you ever get confused or there's a moment where it's like, we don't know if we need to make a motion, you'll never believe this. I'm likely to be like, would anybody like to make a motion to do this particular thing? So you're never out in the dark on these things. I also want to make sure that I make space for the executive board. This will happen in each report of the chair. So this time there's not actually too much to pass along and we are on a tighter schedule. So just be aware that each individual person who's on the board does get some time to talk to you, keep you updated on what's going on each front. Among the people that I want you to keep in mind are, of course, the president. Keegan will always have space in our assembly agenda. You'll also be able to talk to the director of operations who leads all of our day-to-day operations. That is Lizzie to my left. She's awesome. Everybody's awesome. It's a real problem. I'm so excited every time I see people. Sorry, they know it, but now you're getting to see it. And yes, you too, online people. Hello, hi. There's an owl, so y'all could see me the whole time. I'm sitting over here looking for cameras. The Director of Operations, thank you. The VP of Finance and Student Fee Matters, that is Sydney Overton, who is also an awesome person who has been doing so much work for us on so many fronts. And of course, the Chief of Staff, who is Micheline Wilson. Hello, hi. Also a dope person. You will see each person in different components of your day. So Sydney is the type of person, and by type of person I mean hired individual who is responsible for all of our money and the Budget and Finance Committee, and getting everything together sometimes feels like it falls on some combination of everybody but me. So I'm really happy to have people like Sydney, and really happy to have people like Lizzie, and really happy to have people like Keegan, and of course Micheline in this space. Of note, Micheline is the person you will talk to whenever anything happens with a committee. Consider this your primer. Micheline is in charge of committees. It is in her title, and I am simply an assistive wave of a hand. So as you have questions about things going on, know that those are kind of touchstones. Now, with that said, you have been given these tools, these entire set of tools, the calendar, Robert's Rules of Order, and the Assembly Toolkit, which is the one right here. That is all available to you. Also available to you, our advisor, TJ. Sorry, I looked over and was like, and Keegan, of course, is telling me, did you forget somebody? And I did. Because and Blessing. So we actually have 2 advisors for GSG. You will see their names floating around if you got an email about elections. They may have been one of the people pressing the buttons. If you got an email about elections today, oh, I can tell you TJ pressed that button. And of course, TJ and Blessing have a history with GSG. Blessing has been here for years. And was sitting in Micheline's seat not too long ago. TJ has been literally, I mean, since before I was there. I wasn't in GSG when you were doing stuff in GSG. But it's 2 years. Look, 1, 2, hello. But these are good. Yeah, beat me by 6 months, but you know what? That 6 months is important because I don't always know what's going on. With that said, these are resources that we have in GSG. We encourage you to have conversations with us, with each of us, depending on what your needs are. I want to go ahead and give space to TJ because you are an advisor. If you have anything, just a hello, hi. Just a hello, hi.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I serve as the coordinator for Graduate Student Life, so you probably see me also for other things around campus, around STEM. So, but yes, as Ivy has said, if you need anything, let me know. I'm here to help.
An exciting, riveting start to the thing. I know I'm just slowing everything down, but that's how it is. There's one last thing that I get to do, which is say, hey, if anybody is interested in being a parliamentarian, especially if you're a person who is not formally in membership, or voting membership, everybody who's a grad is a member, to be clear, of GSG. You're paying the fees, you're in the group, okay? But if you're a person who was here and you're like, oh, well, I didn't get enough program reps and now I'm trying to look for ways to volunteer or get involved, then I want you to know that that is one opportunity. It's an opportunity that is part of a door that is closing. We hope to have anybody who's interested tell us by the end of today. So if there's somebody in there at 11:59, I would love to see an email from you. Myself, Micheline, and Keegan are looking into the general prospect of having a parliamentarian. That has since been folded into my role. I am more than welcome to kind of get a helping hand out of a volunteer, but if people don't want to do that, just let me know. My email again, the GSG-VPLA email, is the predominant one you can use for these volunteering opportunities. And a penultimate note, you're gonna hear a ton about committees that are gonna form this evening. Program representatives are only expected to participate in one committee. Anyone who is here, whether or not you're a program representative, can participate in a committee. In fact, I encourage it. And of course, if you're interested in leading a committee, participating in specific types of committees or committee functions, or otherwise engaging with GSG, we want you to get involved. Like I said, when it comes to committees, that is Micheline's order. You can always email GSG-committees, and that will get you not just to Micheline, but for sure will get you some idea of what an assignment to a GSG committee will look like. Reach out with these questions. The only other thing that I have to do in this report is politely tell you that you're gonna be added to a bunch of Google stuff. Now that you are, I love the little stickers up here. Sorry. It is the most GSG thing that I can tell you, but you're gonna get added to a Google group that is for GSG. You will get added to some drives that are to allow you access to the materials you need to operate and to thrive in GSG. That is the most prosaic and mildly pedantic thing that I could possibly start a meeting with. With that said, there's definitely more to come. So, actually, give me just a moment. I want to make sure that M is in the wings. I think they are. Yes, okay.
Hello.
Hi, M. So, I'm going to move us forward to our next order of business. You may wonder why there's not that much on the screen. Normally, I have like a whole presentation, and it's all pretty and beautiful, and you started seeing the pieces of that. There's actually a lot to get to, so I want to move us forward to item 4. Item 4 is testimony. Yes, you were starting with some testimony before GSG over UMD Senate Bill 252610. This is to extend for no longer than 15 minutes unless someone motions to extend the time period. To be clear, the chair is welcoming M. Peace. This is a doctoral candidate in the Counseling Psychology program at the University of Maryland. The record of service includes time on the University Senate, as Vice Chair of the Maryland Commission on LGBTQIA+ Affairs, and as Director of Research and Assessment for Trans Maryland. Today, they're recognized to testify to the Assembly regarding an August proposal to amend Senate bylaws regarding Senate committee charges. Now, if you are not following along, I am going to read the proposal in part. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, I'm just gonna give you a primer. M is going to testify to it. I am just reading the proposal for context. So the Senate proposal currently reads as a proposal to amend the University Senate bylaws regarding University Senate committee charges. The proposal came from a topic that was discussed in the new business of the May Senate Executive Committee meeting. It was inspired by an issue that arose during the April 24th, 2025 University Senate meeting. This was regarding the review of the APAS Committee's report on a proposal for bereavement policies and practices toward an inclusive community of care. Based on this experience, a proposal recommended that any recommendation before the University Senate was not going to be amended on the floor unless a detailed written objection outlining the specific concerns is submitted to the University Senate at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting, which the recommendation is scheduled to be presented. The proposal requires a bylaw change. In context, I'm going to leave space for M. Peace. My job is just to get us from point A to point B. I am not going to give you a ton of statements. I have made statements about this bill. I was in the University Senate and voted when it happened. I'm just letting you know that now. M. Peace is recognized for 15 minutes at max to share experience in the Senate process surrounding bereavement and the proposed University Senate legislation. We'll open up for questions after for no longer than 5 minutes. And you have the floor.
Yes, thank you so much. And I will not be taking 15 minutes. I'll be taking at most 5 because unfortunately I have another meeting to get to. But hi, everyone. My name's Em, they, them pronouns. It's really wonderful to be back here in GSG space. I used to be a program representative for counseling psychology and was speaker of the assembly back in 23, I think, 2023. Yeah, time, wild. But so long story short, we did a proposal in the University Senate. I was a grad student senator last year around supporting students, undergraduate and graduate, more with instances of bereavement and academic accommodation in the event of loss of someone close to an individual. It's a much longer story, but what I'm kind of presenting on here is a little bit more of a nuanced governance related issue that since I have to go in a moment, Ivy, I might rely on you to give more context to after I'm gone. But essentially what happened was at the meeting, the Academic Procedures and Standards Committee came back with their committee report, amended some language in the excused absence policy, but did not establish a bereavement leave or an official kind of bereavement policy that set standards across the university. And one of the barriers that folks may encounter around bereavement is getting quote unquote like documentation of a loss to prove that like it's significant enough for academic accommodation, or it gets like really messy. For those of you who have unfortunately experienced losses before, I imagine you've experienced something similar trying to get documentation for faculty members or for instructors in different contexts in your life. So my colleagues and I did a floor amendment, which is a standard parliamentary process as Ivy just presented in the like rules, where we essentially used an existing self-signed excuse absence note, which students get one time per class per semester, and just were like, how about we increase that to 2? Because that way we can, you know, for someone who's having trouble getting documentation, they can just use that mechanism. It doesn't get them out of exams or anything like that, but it might just give them a little bit of peace of mind, a little bit more compassion around that sort of thing. The amendment passed by a majority vote of the Senate. The Senate at UMD is mostly made up of faculty with smaller representations of staff and students. And so majority of faculty voted in favor of it. And so this proposal, though, came forward after all of that happened, essentially looking to do a bylaws amendment to restrict the rights of senators to do something like that in the future, which I have serious concerns about as someone who does work in shared governance, in the fact that, you know, in general, the rights of elected representatives to work on policy on the floor is something that is part of legislative assemblies. It's worth noting that they are doing this in response to something that would have benefited students that passed. And I say would have because what actually happened last week, I believe, was President Pines actually vetoed out that amendment. So even though the Senate passed it, it was removed from the final policy anyway by presidential authority. And so for me, this Senate bill that's come forward to restrict the rights of senators is very concerning and also unnecessary, given that the university president has that veto power and has shown that he will use it in this case, in unfortunately a situation that would have benefited students. And so I bring this forward to the body because the Elections Representation and Governance Committee of the University Senate is currently considering this bill in a potential bylaws amendment, which would, within the purview of graduate student government, restrict the rights of our graduate student senators to advocate on behalf of their constituencies moving forward. And at the same time, it also has wider implications for shared governance across the university by impacting senators who represent all constituencies, including faculty and staff. And so I have stories also of past Senate things where like that floor amendment process was very important for folks to advocate for their constituencies in ways that maybe administration wasn't always aligned in, even though the Senate tries to keep a collaborative process. Like, and I think it's part of democratic and shared governance processes that these things exist. But yeah, that was a really quick, like 3-minute overview of what is something that's been going on for like a year. So if I can help answer any questions, essentially what I'm asking for here is, I think it would be, or it would behoove the assembly to consider making some sort of statement or for program representatives to talk with your constituencies as well as faculty who may be impacted by this and work to contact the Elections Representation and Governance Committee of the University Senate and let them know that we're really concerned about the impacts of this on our shared governance processes, both for its impact on graduate students and for its impacts on the community more largely. Anyway, I talk really fast because I do have to go. I'm so sorry in a minute, but am I missing anything, Ivy? Is that what you were looking for there?
Oh yeah, that was exactly the kind of context that we needed, and I really appreciate it as well. I want to as well put the Assembly kind of in its Assembly hat as an independent graduate student governance organization. Your voice really does matter in these kinds of moments. Something that Em was making very clear, and something that I encourage you all to do.
Oh,
if you
good.
have
No
any
worries. No
process.
worries. Okay, cool. Well, then let me know if you and Greg and Ben want to come over and observe the beginning of Borderlands.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So the TLDR is M's original work, which, mind you, everything feels like it takes forever, and it really did take a long time to get a bereavement policy in front of the University Senate, like, a really long time, for something as clear-cut as bereavement is across our peer institutions to some degree. My context for you all is one that the method that was used to get a response to the bereavement policy. That is to say, the way that we went about passing an amendment was, as Em said, simply to get more use of excused absences that can be used for bereavement and can be reasonably used, apparently to the positive effect of most of the faculty who voted in favor of it. There wasn't much opposition among the broader faculty, majority of the faculty, a majority of the staff, and most, if not all, of the student votes that I saw were in favor of this particular piece of legislation. The note that I want to make is the amendment process that Em is talking about can easily get overwritten. It is not good to override it, perhaps, in some estimations. It does have a down-the-line impact on how things get passed and the speed with which things get passed in the University Senate. And so you can and are empowered to communicate any opposition that you have, to share whatever pros or cons you see with the Election Representation and Governance Committee in the University Senate. They are still taking comments from students, faculty, and staff that directly go to whether or not this is a smart idea. It is a change to their bylaws, and for the same reason that when we change bylaws, we look at things holistically within the Assembly, within the Governance Board, and within the Executive Board. In this same sense, we want to be very cautious about what rules are being changed and how that stops something as simple as a response to an issue with a bereavement policy from being affected at all. I want to pass along Em's last note on the way out because they did have to go for realsies. You can contact them at mpeace1, it's peace with an S, at turfmail.umd.edu if you have any questions or want to follow up. I encourage you to think about this as an initial type of advocacy that you can do, because really that veto meant and means for you that, like, you still only get one unexcused absence, and there's no extension of the bereavement policy to the point that was made in the Senate bill. That directly affects you, and it directly affects other students. Nora, I believe, has a question. Nora, we make space for you.
Hi, I don't know, Nora, epidemiology representative for the PhD program. We wrote last year, passed a resolution in support of the bereavement changes through the Senate as well last year in the GSG. And if this is the sort of thing that a resolution would be appropriate for, I can certainly help write something related to the issues in the Senate and the power being redistributed.
Absolutely, and if anyone is encouraged to, if you want to make your first piece of legislation within graduate student government, that resolution, there is plenty of resources. I am here to help with that. Nora, thank you, by the way, for offering that as well. Of course, if you have opposition, you're in an assembly. You are welcome to opposition. We want to make space for all voices from graduates here, okay? With that said, I want to look around for more questions. Yes.
Do I speak into the mic or can I just comment?
Go ahead and speak into the mic. I welcome that, sure. Just make sure you have your name, say your name and your program affiliation.
Hello, I'm Anirudh from Cybersecurity, Masters of Cybersecurity Engineering. So I had 3 questions about the legislation. The first thing, actually the legislation bill as it is. I have not seen a copy of the whole bill as a whole. That's one thing which I really wanted to put forward, and speaking out of context is not really right. Was the veto essentially just for students and faculties? The bills having the agenda being students and faculty getting one more sentence, one more absence at least without any cause, or did it have any other sub-clauses which were affecting something else in that whole context? That's the first question which I have. Then, should I go question by question or should I ask?
Oh, no, you are more than welcome to follow up on that question. I just want to clarify because that is a very good question. So the reason why it's on the amendment procedure is because the bereavement bill passed with that amendment. And when it was knocked down, it knocked over both things. I have been very clear, and I think others have been very clear, the administration has not, produced some rationale for what the particular issue is. So I have not been explicit, and you will notice that M also didn't say like, this is the exact reason that it happened. What we do know is that that bill is listed as the literal impetus for removing the amendment measure, right? The way that we go about amending that process in the University Senate, this bill that is now up says point blank that an issue arose in April 24, 2025 in a University Senate meeting regarding the bereavement policies. So it's almost a one-to-one connection. I just don't, you got some journalism studies peeps up here. I'm not gonna, I don't wanna make an extra jump where that is.
The second question was about making a floor amendment on that particular bill. How much of the wording was actually changed which could impact towards president being vetoed into it? That's another question in terms of context of the bill, because if we understand the wording has not been changed significantly, then we could actually ask for another statement of release for the president, because for vetoing the bill, there is a presidential power to veto the bill, but we could also request the reason for the veto, as that could be given out as a press document or a press release as it is, given the standards that the actual floor amendment doesn't really have a if it's just a wording difference, we can request it. If it's not exactly a wording difference, if it changes the meaning by any certain stance, we could take that into consideration as change of perspective. So that's one more question I had.
That is an excellent question, and if you're wondering what I leaned over to say, I said I was in heaven. That's essentially what I said to Keegan. The TLDR is, you're getting right to the heart of the procedural issue. The question is, and perhaps it's more important to put it in context as a graduate, right? If you're a graduate senator, is it reasonable for me to look at you as an administrator and say, hey, you have 48 hours. You need to, in that 48 hours or before that 48-hour period, when you've only had the materials for a week before the assembly, you need to create a clear documentation of the exact problems that you have with the amended procedure. That is one issue that it is almost untenable for some people to expect to be able to get things a week ahead of schedule and then read into it and then read into it more and then craft a thoughtful response that's like, hey, we don't want this. The other thing that I think is really important and speaks more to kind of the way the Senate operates, but also speaks to our kind of role in GSG, the line change, I kid you not, the amendment was change the number 1 to the number 2. That's all it did. It was captivating in that what it did was it changed the number of excused absences within the confines of the bill from 1 excused absence that you get 1 per year through a normal university health policy to 2 excused absences, the equivalent of a week in most undergraduate courses that are meeting twice a week, right? So that was of concern. There was a lot of debate and discussion, which I certainly will try and get some of those minutes if anybody's interested. It was truly an important discussion because we asked those questions. What does it mean for a lab in biophysics to have this issue of somebody being able to miss 2 weeks? That is not the same as having a twice per week class. That was a real part of our discussion that happened across the board. Everyone in the Senate had some thought on it because inevitably a graduate has taught something or has been in a class that only meets once a week and knows for a fact what that kind of issue is. I will tell you all what I said as a senator, and since it's been written in a bunch of places, I don't mind saying it again. My thought has always been death is non-discriminatory. And so, is it reasonable for me to have an expectation that, you know, my most minoritized group member is going to have a positive or negative impact from being able to go home? What is home? Is home my home, like in the Midwest, or is home a home overseas? Is it my friends going back to Taiwan and trying to get back across the country? Those were real considerations that we made in the bereavement policy. And mostly because I am limited, I have to ask that unless there's a motion to extend this discussion by 5 minutes, we move forward with the agenda. You are recognized.
Under representative of cybersecurity, I would like to raise a motion to extend the time of discussion on this particular testimonial to 7 minutes with the individual speaker time of 60 seconds, and also have 3 questions, and remaining time could be given to the chair.
Reasonable exception, and very much within the confines, I appreciate that. Is there any second to the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. The discussion is extended for 7 minutes, the equivalent of 3 questions, or the additional amended motion as constructed. You may continue.
So adding towards one more, this is not exactly a question, this is more of a point of information of sorts. I would like to put in the thing which you mentioned, that as an international student, you actually have to understand that we cannot even miss a single class according to the so-called rules and regulations. We cannot do that. But having this particular, having 1 leave of absence and 2 leaves of absence doesn't really do a lot of service for few people. But then it is very important to understand that it might be those 2 days were like a win or make or do or die situation for a few people at least. And considering that we are a diversified government representation, the student body government representation of a college, we have to understand we have to accommodate everybody else. And that vetoed, I guess we do need to have a resolution or even raise a point of order towards that in the Senate as it is, because we would need we would need the votes for it for sure if we have to raise something of that sense. We have to lobby that, but that's a different story altogether. We would need at least, if not a public press release, at least a private presidential statement from the President Pines towards why the veto was made.
That is an excellent point, and you know what? I think, give me just 1 second, actually. Okay, I just wanted to check on something like being highly pedantic in agenda setting here. TLDR, that is an excellent point, and it's actually well within the purview of the executive board to request more information about that. And the resolution process, people who are involved in that resolution would be more than capable of getting that information from the executive board. I just talked to Keegan. I will have a conversation with the e-board about that as well, because it is a well-made point. It is just, it skirts just the bounds of things that we can do. Yes, you see the box? The box is there, and I'm simply opening it. So, with that said, I do want to leave, did you have another question? I just want to make sure.
Anirudh from University. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Cybersecurity engineering, I would yield the rest of my time towards the executive board and the chair. Thank you.
It's magic. All right. With that being said, the time being yielded to the rest of the executive board and the chair, are there any other comments from the e-board?
I will say that I do meet at least once a semester, usually more like twice a semester with President Pines. Depending on the timing of that, we haven't set our first meeting. This is certainly an issue I can and will raise. But in the meantime, drafting a resolution would be most wise, I would say. And we will be explaining how to do that more when we form the relevant committee that helps with that. But stay tuned is what I'm trying to say.
Keegan is very good at the stay tunes. I'm very bad at it. With that said, seeing no other comments, I'm checking this. Okay, perfect. All right. With the conclusion of that time space, plus a minute, we got a minute back. If there's no other comments, we'll proceed to the next item on the agenda. Looking around, seeing none. Perfect. The next item on the agenda, you're never gonna believe it, it's gonna move fast. So, the next item on the agenda would be the recognition of the Division of Administration for a 20-minute presentation. At this point, representatives from the division do not appear to be in attendance for this meeting, due in part to a calendar change and quick election turnaround. Their presentation will be rescheduled per a vote of the Rules Committee for a later assembly meeting. Wow, 20 minutes just flies by, doesn't it? We move forward. All right. You just heard Keegan said that there was a lot of committee stuff going on. That is what we're about to get into. So, everybody got your drinks? You got your popcorn? If you're at home, get your bingo cards out. I'm gonna say things like vote, yay or nay, and probably some form of make a motion. You just get those things on a bingo card, honey. Have a good day. Old business. We begin with old business. This is item 6 on the agenda. We are going right into it. So first of all, I want to make sure that I'm clear. The Chief of Staff is the person who all slates go to and who is responsible for keeping track and overseeing your committee assignments. Your rosters are kept by me, but that is entirely within the purview of Micheline. So I will be making a lot of space here. I might occasionally be checking in with other people on the e-board. I ask that you give patience because it takes a while to build these committees. With that said, I am also aware of the time. I want to draw your attention to the time. I am dead set by the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee has given me until 5 p.m. and the space has also given us until 5 p.m. So we will be out of here on time. Hello, hi. Up first, the Governance Committee. This is an important committee. To be clear, this is no longer the Governance Committee. I just have to say it because it's on the agenda. The agenda will be revised to say Governance Board following the constitutional referendum, which finished up this week. The first item on the Governance Board slate would be the presentation of the President's nominees. There are 3 seats that are nominated by the President. That information is transmitted by the President to the Assembly. Do you have your 3 members? Not the full names. Would you like to speak on behalf of the President?
Jordan, right?
Yeah.
You know the last.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the 3 people of governance are Jordan Duar, Jillian Rothschild, and Victoria Worley.
Thank you so much.
only got 2 of those.
Yeah, and what a 2 to get, you know? 2/3, actually, let me shut up. In returning to this old business, I want to let you know what is on the table for you. Our presidential nominees have been noted, and now we need to call for our 2 nominees for the Governance Committee slate. To be clear, the Governance Committee slate, among all slates, will be voted on and amended and appealed, and then transmitted to the Chief of Staff immediately following this conversation, or I guess this nomination discussion. To be clear, the approval of the slate of nominations is always what we will do last in this format. So anytime we're doing the forming of committees, this is what we will normally do. The Governance Board, feels so good to be in a 3-branch government. The Governance Board meets almost immediately. So this is my one brief warning. The Governance Board may not meet very much throughout the semester, but their meeting requirement includes an initial meeting within 2 weeks of this meeting to elect a chair. When presented with actionable business at the discretion of the Governance Board, you may also meet or as otherwise described in our bylaws. The job of the Governance Board is to act as the highest authority in the graduate student government concerning all matters of interpretation of our constitution, bylaws, legislation, executive orders, and all other statutes. The chair, after being selected, will be part of this 7-person committee roster, which also includes three elected program representatives pursuant to an assembly vote. If you check your agenda, because yes, there's always a link in the agenda, sweetheart, what do you mean? I am slowly becoming a character from RuPaul's Drag Race, and I'd like to preemptively apologize. So, the full slate, you will see under committees, if you have your document tabs open, it's on the left of your documents tab. You will see under this little committees thing, you can uncollapse it and there's a sign up sheet. This is how we will expedite our nomination and voting process. This is how we'll get the slates that we need. If there are additional people, we will need to vote within the body, specifically for the governance board. To be clear, the governance board constitutionally has to form today. So I will be looking for governance board people. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so fun. So with that said, the governance board information is, oh my gosh, let me scroll. Yeah, we're all looking for two, right? Yes. Okay, so the governance board includes 2 individuals. Yes. And also who are executive board members, right? Okay. Okay, cool. I'm sorry, I am checking myself hard over here, y'all. Just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. The chair also has the ability to recognize the additional elected member from the executive board. That would be our director of operations, Lizzie Erlbacher. Say hi, hello, hi.
Don't cause problems.
Please don't cause problems, it's a lot. And of course, I want to be clarion about who we have already on that board. Yes, so during our previous meeting, we also elected, I want to say Aniruddha. Am I wrong? Aniruddha? See, I'm so bad with the second the H happened. You knew it and you're so real with that. But we have that seat already in place. That is elected by the assembly. We have 2 more positions that must be elected by the assembly. We look first for nominations. Are there any people who would like to self-nominate or nominate another member of the assembly for the purposes of serving on the governance board?
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Of course. You're recognized.
Thank you. Anirudh from representative of graduate students from cybersecurity engineering. So according to the bylaws, can one person be on multiple committees, and what would be the estimated time allocation which would be needed for each committee? If that could be put out, we could, given our commitment, given the amount of commitment which is needed per committee, we could decide upon if we want to take up 2 committees or not.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Can we just? Okay, so real quick note that an excellent parliamentary inquiry, appreciate you for it. So TLDR, our bylaws do not limit your ability to serve on multiple committees. You are welcome to serve in multiple spaces. You just cannot take up multiple spaces on the same committee. So for the governance board example, you cannot both be appointed by the president and be an elected member from the assembly. To be clear, if you're a person who is not an elected program representative, that is okay. You are more than welcome in this body. All committees are open to those spaces. And of course, as with all committees, most of them, save a few, have a maybe once a month hour expectation for a meeting. So you may be losing an hour out of the month on a particular committee meeting. I also want to give Keegan a chance to clear up anything just in case I'm missing stuff.
Yeah, so it is typically an hour. Some of the busier committees can be a little more. As far as governance itself, and although it's not a committee anymore, is either basically no time at all. You meet only as needed, and if there are no impeachments, no constitutional questions, or anything else like that, you meet once, and then that's it. But also, if there is an impeachment, then suddenly your plate gets very full. So it's a bit of a gamble. Usually, the last time we had an impeachment was 8 years ago. So your chances are pretty good. You don't have to worry about that. The last constitutional crisis was 4 years ago. And but it wasn't actually that much of a crisis either, so I think it took about an extra 6 hours or something like that. It wasn't terrible. So, yeah.
Point of information, can we get the context towards the constitution?
Yes, there was. The long and short of it, there was a stalled election because of a failure to vote, basically. Yeah, that which caused a minor constitutional crisis. Like, what do we do now? So, yeah, but that is the kind of question that actually that's a good example, because if there's a what do we do now question, that is what governance exists to answer. That is your role. But typically that doesn't come up. I actually do need to mention something that Ivy will have to try to fix, because this is unusual in that we had our constitution change last night. And then we already had this already set well before last night. So the new constitution changes actually how we form governance board. So I think we can continue as is. It's just that the new rules is that I appoint every member and you all vote on every member.
Yeah.
But what we can do is the assembly can, with Ivy's permission, the assembly can select 2 more people. I will just appoint them, and then you vote to confirm my appointment. And then we'll have to have probably 1 more vote to confirm the appointments of the other 4 people, 5 people have already done. So, yeah, sorry to steal your thunder. But
No, it was good. Sorry, the TLDR was exactly what he said, that the nomination process was always going to end up with you getting a formal nomination this year. Moving forward, the president has full nominating authority, which is how most judicial branches work. And then they get approval from the assembly. But that being said, does that respond properly to your point of information? Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything there. And of course, I want to return to the question on the table. Is there anyone that seeks nomination to the governance board or would like to participate in the governance board, given the information that we have acquired? This is, the beauty is, I will continue to note this, you will hear me say it a few more times. The chief of staff has the explicit right and responsibility to appoint people to committees when appointment is not necessary. So while the governance board will go through Keegan, but just to be clear, as you move forward, if you are not appointed to a committee, the requirement for a program representative is at least 1 committee. So just, think about it. Okay, cool. Nora and Joshua. Amazing. All right. So Nora and Joshua, pending a vote of the general body, we will be more than welcoming your names on our nomination slate. What I am going to do is, you will see this happen a few times where I reset the same question. It is intentional. So anytime we have nominees before the assembly, if we're voting on a slate, this is pre-approval of the slate that...
think procedurally. I appoint those 2 as my choice, as 2 of my choices, and now you can vote.
And that's your point. Yeah, thank you so much, you're so valid. You've been formally appointed, Nora and Joshua, to the governance board, and you now will await a vote by the assembly confirming this nomination. That vote will begin once I press this little present button, if it ever decides to open up. The question is going to be on your screen. If you have Mentimeter open, you can reopen it at any time. Right at the top of your screen should be all of that information. And of course, because we have a quorum, it just matters that we have the vote over a certain period of time. We will give this vote no longer than the next 60 seconds completion.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, can we have the government committee list on the screen so that everybody else can?
Oh yeah, that's an excellent point. Give me just a moment and I will ensure that that particular piece of information is visible. A moment.
Can I request the code for the Mentimeter?
Absolutely.
Because of course it goes
It's
down
off,
like that. Yeah, sorry, 1 second. Always something technological like this. Okay, wonderful. That's weird, right? You know what, no question. I'm not gonna question it. For the purpose of the inquiry that was before us, I just wanna make sure you all know, I don't actually know what I'm seeing. But for some reason, I can see the list, y'all can't see the list, and every time I switch it, it goes away. So what we're gonna do is I will just make sure that you all see the list as we're considering it before we take the vote, and then we'll move forward to the vote moving forward, unless there's any objection to that particular procedure. It's kind of our virtual vote procedure, plus or minus being able to actually read it on the screen while you're voting. Any objections? With much appreciation, it looks like all of those votes would be completed. And thank you, technology, for coming through at the absolute best worst time. It looks like that is full approval of the slate of nominees to the governance committee. This will be, sorry. Not even gonna lie, I was like, I'm not about to burp on a microphone, absolutely not. So these nominees have been recognized, they've been appointed by the president and have been voted on successfully by the assembly. This will be transferred over to Micheline and to Keegan, who has set forth this particular slate of nominees. Once finished, that nominating body, or the governance board, y'all are the nominating body. Technically, you're the nominating body this time around, but the governance board will meet within 2 weeks, but by no later than October 31st, will have selected a chair. This is according to our agenda and the rules and bylaws of graduate student government. Thank you kindly. And then what I will do is I'll back out of this. So you will see slow stop shares, and I will bring the list back up for each individual nomination cycle. That way we just don't have to click around too much, okay? Yep.
Anirudh from representative of cybersecurity from graduate student. So one more point of parliamentary inquiry. What is the threshold or the number of votes which are needed for the motion to pass in this particular setting? That's 2/3, or do we follow 2/3 or do we follow 50+1 as the majority?
Right. So, sorry, I just wanted to double check that. So TLDR, our quorum remains 1/3 plus 1. That would be at least 18 individuals within the voting assembly. And once we get past that quorum, all of our nomination procedures at this point would be simple majority procedures. Yes. Y'all are welcome to also make parliamentary inquiries. I'm having a great time. I'm learning. We're learning. I digress. With that said, we move on to the next brief order of business. I'm gonna try and make these move a little bit faster, like I said. These next few actually do have slots within our pseudo sign-up sheet here. So be aware of, oh yeah. It's still not, okay, I'm gonna try and share again, one moment. Right? I feel like I'm seeing the whole picture. Is that where? Yeah. There we go. I'll take where 2025 as long as it's working. This is the current sign-up sheet. As you can see, it is not updated with that full list of people, but we do have that list over to the left yet. Oh, you were deep in it, okay. I just wanted to make sure that's documented somewhere while I am clicking along. And please do forgive my technological malfeasance. This does not normally happen, and I'm gonna make sure it does not happen again. With that said, we move forward with our slate reviews. Give me just one moment. So a quick note of old business with following 6.1C, we're going to 6.2 real quick. This is the assignment by the Chief of Staff to form committees. There are two committees that are formed as of this moment. That is the Rules Committee and the Budget and Finance Committee, which have their requisite number of individuals participating in the process. That isn't to say that you can't sign up for them. I am just letting you know that those bodies are formed. The chair of the Budget and Finance Committee is Cindy Overton, our VPFA, and I chair the Rules Committee as the VPLA and speaker. With that being said, if you are interested in those two bodies, they are currently still kind of sort of open. Some of us, okay. They are effectively open for nomination. So if you see something on this particular sheet that you are interested in, I encourage you to feel comfortable and confident signing up for those set committees. With that being said, there is an additional committee that is considered old business, and so I have to bring it up expeditiously, which is the Elections Committee. The Elections Committee requires an additional seat. This is because the dutiful Keegan Clemens Hauser sits on the committee in temporary status. So now that the committee is forming with a full body, we do need nominees to the election committee. If you don't have access to this sheet, that is okay. What I'm going to ask you to do is, if you are a nominee and you are on GSG's Zoom, you're more than welcome to go ahead and let us know when you are interested in being in any of the committees that I list forward. Likewise, if you are in the room, you are more than welcome to self-nominate or nominate another person in the room. There's no animus between us. Feel comfortable and confident doing so if you're interested in any of these bodies. With that being said, the next body that we are going to be considering is the Election Committee. The Elections Committee is currently composed of Sydney, myself, and Keegan. We would love to have some other voices on the Elections Committee. To be clear, the Elections Committee is responsible for the oversight and proceedings of effectuation of the election code for the graduate student government. Every election that you've seen, including the elections that happened this spring or this fall, time is a social construct, they are overseen and predominantly held by the Elections Committee in its role. With that being said, is there anyone who would like to nominate themselves or serve on the Election Committee at this time? We'll leave you a little bit of time for this particular role. We need at least one person from the Assembly to take on this work. Of note, if you're curious about it, the Elections Committee meets for elections purposes, and then we take naps, I would say. So this is a similar time commitment to the Governance Committee or Governance Board, save less constitutional crisis, more how many people are we gonna get to vote on this thing? Looking around for any nominees. A quick reminder that you do have to serve on the committee. Oh, hello. You are recognized. You're nominating Mara? This is the kind of work we are looking for. Give it a round of applause. We nominate our friends in this GSG, okay? Mara, you have been nominated. Do you accept the nomination as has been presented?
Yes.
All right, that's wonderful. Oh my gosh, I love this episode. There's so many new characters. Okay, so is there anyone else who would like to be considered for the election slate? Actually, one moment. I would like to give the president the floor, if you give me just a second.
Very quickly, this is one of those committees where the more people sign up, the less work you do. So get more people to sign up, do less work.
Cannot stress enough, like, the more people you have in elections, the easier it is. When it's like the minimum 3 people, it can be a lot. When it's like 10 people, a breeze. Okay. And you know what? I do feel like that is an excellent point. I want to make a point that was made by the president, and yes, I'm blaming him. You can always counter-nominate individuals who nominate you. You can always put up. I'm not saying it because Keegan said it. I'm just the mouthpiece. Oh, Kate? All right, Kate, is that Kate Smitherman? Am I right? Yes, Kate Smitherman in COM has also nominated for the Elections Committee. We'll have just a few more moments for the Election Committee. Anyone else interested in this particular body? I feel like if I was an auctioneer, this would be so much cooler. Like if I could be, I don't have the auctioneer pattern, but if I had it, it'd be so dope. And please do forgive us, this wire, this wire is very loose. My goodness. Okay, and returning member Joshua Lucker is also willing to serve on the election committee. Again, light work. Do we have any other nominees? Going one,
ENTS, I nominate the representative from PEDC. Right there. Yes, please.
This is my favorite. Okay.
You got it.
At some point, the board does wonder if you'll nominate yourself.
SCI for the elections.
Point of parliamentary inquiry towards these
Yeah, go
rules
ahead.
and procedures. So I would like to understand if a delegate is nominating another, I refrain myself from calling myself delegates. A representative is nominating another representative. Shouldn't there be another bylaw within that they should be a part of the election committee or that particular committee to renominate them?
You know what? We've got some bylaw revisions for you. We're gonna have a good time. Hey, put him on the list, sir. We need to get that together. Let's go. Okay.
Motion for amendment of a bylaw which is being made by President Keegan now, that if another representative wants to nominate another representative, they should be present on the committee before.
We cannot have bylaws on the floor, but.
Oh, sorry. Sorry for the phrasing.
You could also nominate someone as well, yourself. You could nominate your own.
Remember, you're always welcome to nominate your friends, your colleagues, your peers, your compatriots. Yes. Are there any previous nominees that would you like to accept the nomination? I saw a nomination that was going to, period. And that's called consent, okay? And the nomination is not accepted. Not accepted. And we are closing 4 nominations because we have reached the time cap on this one, thank goodness. With that said, the following constitutes our elections committee slate. This slate is among many that we will vote on. I package vote these election committee slates, so we will finish this all in one fell swoop moving forward, okay? Let me move us forward. So we've got 2 things. They're gonna happen in quick succession, but I want you to think about yourself very, very carefully as you respond to these. First is those who seek to nominate themselves for chair. Chairs of committees are nominated and formed in accordance with our bylaws and constitution. In addition, they are immediately made members of the leadership committee. The leadership committee is composed of chairs as part of monthly meetings, and all of our committees have chairs. That does not mean that all of our committees will sit immediately or that they will even meet monthly. Some of them meet once per semester at minimum. But if you are interested in a particular type of work, I would like to give you the opportunity to perhaps switch over to the agenda and get to the sign-up sheet area. In addition, I will also jump into the Zoom and just make sure that y'all have the link as well. You are iconic. Everyone at the e-board is so iconic, and I am just a roving mess, but they love me and I love them, and it's so great. So, with that being said, there are a few items that I want to draw your attention to. The main ones are the Budget and Finance Committee, which is currently at 9 people. I support y'all. If you're interested in the Budget and Finance Committee, my encouragement is going to be for the purposes of nomination. You can raise your hand and let your interest be known now. Any Budget and Finance Committee people, if you are online, we will also be looking for your name. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move down the line, and I'm going to ask you to say your name and your program as I get to you. So, starting on the right here.
Thanks, Ivy. I'm Richa from the Supply Chain Management Program.
Okay, perfect. Richa, we have you down.
Mayank, Masters of Finance.
Okay.
I see here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, and then we're gonna double check right here. Okay, cool. So okay, wonderful. So, the Budget and Finance Committee, as you can see, we're kind of adding your names as you go. This is, again, our continuous slate, so we're gonna move forward. The Budget and Finance Committee chair is set, so we don't need to worry about that. And of course, the Governance Committee is set as a slate to move forward. It needed to move forward separately. I'm so sorry to make you vote like that. With that being said, the Elections Committee has also gotten its interested nominees. The Rules Committee is next. The Rules Committee meets monthly. Just saying that now. It's an hour. We review much of the legislation that comes through. We do copy editing basically for any of the legislation, and we ensure that the agenda and everything that has been set thus far for the body is set properly and in accordance with our rules and bylaws. Is there any interest in the Rules Committee? You'll be working with me, a chaotic individual. Certainly that couldn't be scary. Yeah! Go ahead. If you're interested and you're in the room, just raise your name up high and just point it toward the e-board so that we can get those all down. If you are inside of the computer and not, oh, hey Nora, love having you on Rules, you're so awesome. If you're not seeing people on Rules Committee in the chat or not interested in the Rules Committee, that is okay. We have plenty of committees to get through today. Give me just a moment, I'm gonna make sure the e-board is ready for us to move to the next part. Wonderful. All right, our next item is going to be the Legislative Action Committee. These are our bylaw standing committees. Our Legislative Action Committee is predominantly concerned with our legislative actions. This means our advocacy days, the work that we do that is external, looking at legislatures. I chair that committee as well in my role as VPLA. We have a lot of things that are going on this year that directly correlate to legislative actions. We've been looking at conferences on the campus for our peer institutions. We are doing a lot. We are still not meeting that much, to be clear. We plan ahead. You might have an hour out of the month. Why do I keep saying it? Because everybody thinks it's so much, and it's not even that deep. Is there any interest in legislative action committees? You can also ask questions about the committee if you need. I am more than willing to lend a helping hand. I am seeing space. For context, and thank you, I do see a few more nominees. To be clear, and Keegan makes this point very well, other bodies, other institutions that you may have gone to for undergrad, other places that you've been, this is a government affairs committee. We do a lot of stuff that's directly interfacing with local and state. At times, we try to set up conversations with federal officials as well. We interface with governments on the behalf of the graduates population at the university. So I just want to make sure you're aware as you make those decisions. Gosh, I think we got you. Did you get it? Okay. And then, okay. Is there anyone else who would like to be considered for the Legislative Action Committee at this time?
Well, we had 3 people.
I think we have 3. Yeah. Did you get the nomination? Okay, so we have. All right. Thank you so much for that. I want to kind of continue to zoom through, but instead, for some of these, let's say more prosaic ones, I'm just going to read y'all the little short definitions, because I don't want to have to do all of that talking. For those of you who are wondering what I am doing, the answer is I am simply looking for our updated definitions for various committees, so roll with me. With that being said. Yeah, see, right there, isn't it crazy? So the next committee that you see on your screen is the Local and Civic Engagement Committee. This committee monitors and supports opportunities for civic engagement. This is in consultation with organizations like TARP Vote, equivalent campus entities. We do a lot of work that's related to the city-university partnerships and the College Park City Council. So if you're interested in something as simple as housing and information and something as complex as our relationships with other individuals outside of the university in our local and civic engagement, this is how you get involved. If you're interested and you're on the Zoom, let me know. Type your name, we want to see it. And then if you nominated just now and you're in the room, just put your names up one more time for us. Just want to double check. Yeah, we're verifying some stuff. Yeah, if you don't see your name on this area, let us know. Okay, cool. And of course, we have the Academic Affairs Committee. This committee monitors university policies which pertain to the academic and professional development of graduate students, and they make progress on key issues charged by the Assembly or the Executive Committee. The committee also... Oh, thank you. See, this is why there's a chief of staff, because I'm not always looking at the right committee. So the next one is the Community Development Committee. Thank you. I'm officially in here, so everybody's so good. For the sake of time, the Community Development Committee, shortest sentence, organizes activities to further the social integration of graduate students from all programs. So essentially building community across various campus programs, creating events to the like. Any interest? Yep, keep those tags up high. And if you are on Zoom, feel free to sign up for these. And recall that you do need to sign up for one. You do need to sign up for one. We welcome you, please. There's snacks sometime. Okay, with that said, are there any other nominees beyond those who have already been listed up here? Seeing none, we will now move to the committee that I really wanted to move to for some reason. That's the Academic Affairs Committee. This committee monitors university policies pertaining to the academic and professional development of graduate students. They make progress on key issues charged by the Assembly or the Executive Committee, the Executive Board. Also develops GSG programs related to academic and professional development for graduate students, drafting resolutions for the Assembly's consideration as appropriate. Is there any interest among our group for the Academic Affairs Committee?
We should grab those names.
We're
Oh, I like to see the first part and then the last.
My glasses don't work that well. I saw the first part. Yeah. Got those? Okay, all right.
Is there anyone else who would like to be nominated to this particular committee? Looking around and seeing none. Wonderful. The next committee, and I want to be very intentional about this next committee might be subject to an executive action in like 5 minutes. We don't know, but we're working together on it. Hello, hi. So the Diversity and Inclusion Committee is reaching out to building ties between and advocating for graduate students across races, colors, creeds, sexes, sexual orientations, gender identities, marital status, personal appearances, ages, national origins. You get the picture, do you not? Wonderful. I'm going to read it anyway. Political affiliation, hidden or visible disabilities, and other disadvantaged groups. They shall also work to foster a diverse and inclusive GSG community and make progress on key issues as charged by the Assembly or Executive Board. Also draft resolutions, do the other things that committees are done. Oh yes, you already done one. Perfect. If there's any interest in being nominated to this committee or nominating yourself to this committee, please feel free and comfortable raising your tag. All jokes aside, this is a really important committee. So I really do hope you get involved. Also Jesse?
Yeah.
Jesse. Okay. I was sitting over here. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm marching forward here. Let's see. The Student Affairs Committee. The Student Affairs Committees monitor campus-focused issues that pertain to quality of life for graduate students, including but not limited to transportation safety, sustainability, mental health, and other related topics. They also advocate on behalf of GSG to the University Administration to improve the quality of graduate students' experiences and make progress on key issues charged by the Assembly or Executive Committee. Is there any interest in serving on the Student Affairs Committee for GSG? If so, raise those tags nice and high so we can see them.
No.
We got your, I got it, yeah.
When someone gets their name, it's just that first.
Yes. So, I have the, oh, okay. I must state the time is 4:59 p.m. Here is what is left on the agenda for your context. We still have seats that will need to be filled on the International Student Affairs Committee today. So, if we are willing to wait just a brief moment and motion for about 5 to 10 minutes of additional time, we can do that now. Otherwise, it will be forced into the next agenda. Is that a motion in favor?
Motion.
Okay, any seconds?
Yeah,
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We move for an additional 10 minutes. We will conclude at 5:10 p.m. at the very latest. Moving forward, we will move on to the International Student Affairs Committee. This is an important committee. We have several partnerships across the university that rely on the work that comes out of this committee. The International Student Affairs Committee monitors campus-focused issues pertaining to the life and quality of life of international graduate students. This is not a simple thing. It is not limited to transportation, but it also has safety, sustainability, mental health, and other. Y'all are. I would love to keep reading it, but unfortunately, the team, we're working on it. We're working on it. Yes.
Let me just collect all of those. Okay, I got Sarah and.
This is.
I'm just gonna grab them all, you can go through them.
And then one from,
Melissa.
I think if you scroll, there might be another one.
And,
There might be one.
yeah, there was one.
Oh, and then.
Yeah. And then fonts. Well, that's
All right. Are there any other nominees that haven't been considered for the following slate? Yeah. All right. With that being said, in a time of 5:02 p.m., we have 8 minutes in which to vote and gavel out and get other things done. Please do make note of the following adjustment, which the Rules Committee in providing approval for this agenda did allow for additional space, given the election and the amount of time that it was going to take for the swearing in and the formation of committees. So there are 2 docket items that are directly related to the forming of committees that will appear in October. They relate to the Graduate Assistant Advisory Committee's representation in graduate student government, and they relate to the Graduate Research Appreciation Days. Both are ad hoc committees. There will be more information available, and you all now have a month run. If you go through this document, you'll be able to see those particular pieces of legislation. The last thing that you need to do, for me anyway, is to vote on this particular slate. So the entire slate has been rolled out in particularity, which is to say your names are included, the individual slates are included, and the additional information may be included in the documentation for the approved minutes and the agenda. With that being said, having seen the slate, the final question that you will see on the Mentimeter is directly related to the slate. One moment, I will turn that on. You will be given about 2 minutes maximum to vote on the entirety of the slate. If there are too many no's, then we break down the slate into individual committees and vote at a later time. Give me just one moment.
Just a brief second.
You can't can't see it, you should be able to see the question, which is, do you approve the slates as documented by the Assembly for transmission to the Executive Committee? While you were voting, I want to do a quick shout out and thank you for your interest in me and all the program representative slots. Moving forward, the committee process will predominantly be handled by Micheline, so you'll stop hearing me talk about committees over time. You will see more and more of that come from Micheline and from other members of your committee. Each of the committees has the responsibility of electing or setting forth the chair. That chairship will be outlined, will tell you when you need to have that done by. You just need to have someone elected that would sit in leadership so that we can make sure that the committees are progressing as they are set forth to do. With that said, I see 22 voting in favor. I will leave this open for 1 minute. Yes, okay. In this last 60 seconds before I gavel us out, I'm going to ask you all to do something that is very GSG coded, which is whenever you get done, you have a name tag set, and you may have a drink, you may have a snack, you may have something else here. My ask is that when you leave, you pick up all things that belong to you, that touched your mouth, or that look like they touched your mouth, which is to say, if you have paper on the ground and you're like, this isn't my paper, maybe pick it up anyway because we care about the space. With that being said, once we get done, I hope that you will help us immediately kind of adjust. I want to also let Lizzie speak real quick.
Put the name tags in the clear bin, because that's where I'm taking attendance. So if your name tags in the clear bin, we won't have you reported as being here. Minus the people on Zoom, I have you guys.
So if you didn't hear, if you're on Zoom, you are good. If you are out here, make sure you are putting that name tag in the correct place. The clear bin is how we denote whether or not you are present. With that being said, the vote on this final executive slate is set for 26-0. We will conclude this meeting of the Graduate Student Government and we will return to our next assembly meeting in October on Halloween, I believe. Oh, this meeting is adjourned. Yay, welcome to GSJ. Pick up your stuff because we don't have much time left in this room. Yes, get yourself some food. Take a thing on the way out, please. And then don't leave trash because you don't want to leave the place trash. Thank you.